The F1-88X is a cult favorite amongst mechanical keyboard enthusiasts. Despite having a tall front height and a steep angle, it stayed popular and relevant for almost 2 years now. Its initial release was Korea only, the original F1-88X, so the only way to acquire them in the States is if someone smuggled it over the ocean for you. And that cost a pretty penny. In the peak of the pandemic, we were looking at $1,000 USD for a keyboard that originally cost about mid 300s for Korean citizens. It was freaking wild, man. So today we're taking a look at the F1-88X. Actually, this one is the US brother. It's the F1-88. It's winkeyless and F13, and we have a Latrialum badge right there. It's pretty cool. It has some rounded corners, so it's slightly different, and it's not made out of scrap metal, so there's that. But it has the same aluminum V1 plate design as the 8X, which is no longer sold. That plate, you can only get the leaf spring version now. It's made by Geon, a Korean keyboard designer and manufacturer. It's a great sounding keyboard that uses a unique isolation mount. We know of O-rings like the gummy O-ring that's essentially like a rubber band, but this one's not in a friction or gummy fashion around the plate like those other boards like the Unicorn, but rather cut into little strips. This allows it to sandwich in to be isolated from metal on metal contact with the plate and the case, and still removable if you want to change the configuration. Vuitton O-rings are stiffer and make it sound much better, but you can mix in some silicone O-rings and you can just buy them from Amazon. Not some proprietary thing, and you don't have to pay a stupid amount of money from a local vendor to ship you some gaskets. Oh, sorry. I'm just angry on behalf of one of my patrons for what they're dealing with. I built the F1-88X before in the actual Korea version during the peak of the creamsicle Franken switch hype, and it's one of my most popular sound tests on the channel. If you missed these sound tests, make sure you're watching them YouTube shorts I'm posting, because I'm bringing them back, but only posting in the vertical format. I'm testing some things for the channel, so sorry for the shorts haters, but I want to see how I can make my channel a little bit more successful. Speaking of trying to set yourself up for success, this video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. FlexiSpot sells accessible standing desks for a great value and cover a wide range of styles to fit your needs. I wanted to get a second desk because I wanted a dedicated area to kind of do side work. Like, I wanted to get out of this office. I know I love this space, but I spend way too much time in here. So I wanted a separate space to do B-roll, to take photos, and I wanted to be clean without all my desk stuff, especially a streaming setup. The simple design of the FlexiSpot desk makes it easy to build, even for a simpleton like me. It took me about an hour from unbox to fully set up, all by myself. I didn't need another person to help me lift it up. This huge 30-inch by 78-inch bamboo top gives me tons of space to have a clean shot for my B-roll and product photography. You definitely will never need any more space. It's a thinner top, allowing you to save some cost while still getting a huge standing desk. It comes with 2 adjustable legs and a crossbar in the middle. There are preset holes, so you do not need a drill to assemble if you don't have one. I personally adjusted the legs around and moved the control box closer to the center so it fits my needs better. The control box has 3 memory options so you can save your favorite heights. There's also included cable management clips so you don't have to buy anything extra to tidy up the cables that are just for the desk. The desk is sturdy at sitting height and sturdy enough at standing. So this nice little desk setup by the window is really just a way for me to get out of my desk and get some sun. If you're interested in the desk I have in the video, this is the FlexiSpot E4 Classic with 3-stage dual motor. The link is going to be below the like button in the description, so check it out. Thanks to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the review. To build this plateless, you need to buy a plateless kit, which is literally metal pieces secured onto the PCB via friction and a little screw. It's pretty interesting that's all that it takes to make something plateless. Geon, pretty smart guy. So I listened to the original owner of the keyboard who was in the stream, and they said to use a certain number of pieces. There was a guide on the website, but I didn't follow the freaking picture, and he was like, just use a few less, you'll be fine, it'll sound great. I'm like, all right, I've never built a plateless F1 before, so see how it goes. Because you can decide where the mounting points are and how many, you're basically a keyboard designer now. Go ahead and start your group buy and rob people's money. I mean, that's a joke, only a few people have done that. Okay, only a few. RIP Rukia R2. So you choose where the mounting parts are, and if you choose wrong, it'll be a shitty experience. I was told on stream that I also did not need to add gaskets to the top, so I didn't. The switches used here are Geon Blacks, which are basically Zakus, long PP pole, PC top, nylon bottom. Nothing too crazy here, manufactured by Texi. It's just a different spring and sold by Geon. Oh, did I mention this board right here We're trying to make it Korean, all Korean. You see the keycaps? Korean. The board? Korean. And the switches? Sold by a Korean. I mean, he was designed by him too, so let's count that one, okay? The Korean keycaps here are GMK white on black Hangul add-on. I bought them from Project Keyboard, I believe, and they're really sought after, and I've shined the shit out of them. They look disgusting now. I actually mistype a lot because my fingers just slip inside all over the place. But GMK is meant to be used. If you're not someone who wants to shine your keycaps, just don't use them. I mean, you can use PBT, but it's not the same experience. Different sound, different feel. So I assembled it. Keep in mind, I used less mounting points and no gaskets on the top, because there was already gaskets on there on one side. So sound tested it with a few Geon enthusiasts in the chat, one of them being Geon, who loves F1s, and it sounded like hell, like disgusting hot garbage. It was the worst I've ever heard a Geon board sound. No way that this was correct. There's just no way. I was like, what the? I lost my damn mind. Jiran then walked me through it and told me to add more mounting points. So we followed along, and there were some other people in the community that know a lot more about F1s than I do, because I never bought one because I didn't have $1,000 and I didn't have friends that can get me a little bit cheaper. So I just kind of sat on the sidelines. I only built that one F1 and it was not Plateless. So Plateless was a whole new challenge for me. So we added more mounting points, shifted them around, added another layer of V-tone O-ring, and once it was rebuilt, it sounded decent. Not quite the same tier as the F1-88 sound of 2021, but it wasn't that bad. Because you're getting a kind of more fun typing experience where it flexes and it's just a PCB, and that's not bad. Like I love flexible typing experiences, but almost every plateless board I've tried has a little bit weaker sound than plated options. A good palm plate or a good aluminum plate or even the newfangled polypropylene is probably gonna sound more interesting than a plateless build. But plateless is fun for the typing feel. So keep your expectations in line. The typing experience is pretty fun, and it almost makes me forget that this is a wrist breaker that's freaking tall and freaking steep. I joke around about that, but you can probably get used to it. I used to hate the tofu height, also known as the unicorn height, but I got used to it. So the main question is this: F1-88, F1-8X, or their variants, are they still relevant in 2023? We've seen advancements on this board in the F2-8X, which sounded duller, and the 722, which has a different spacebar sound and a different look because it's a wedge aesthetic. It's just different, okay? I think the most popular opinion is that the original F1 with the V1 aluminum plate is by far the best sounding configuration, and the other variants just can't compare. And this playlist is going to be a little bit less nice as well. In terms of sound, the playlist is indeed more bouncy and indeed more fun, but you give up some of that iconic sound signature that just makes the F1-8X by Geon a cult classic. Of course, it's a non-permanent mod, so you can take it off and rebuild with your aluminum plate anytime. As for the height and typing angle, I'm a little baby and resist change, but I honestly believe that you can get used to the typing angle or just use a wrist rest if it bothers you. I used to only use low front height keyboards like the Jubi, but I got used to even the unicorn height over time. And if I had to, I could get used to the F1 height and angle as well. With a steep angle, however, I'd likely need a wrist rest to at least transition into it. Forgot to mention, I'll try to zoom into this, but this is the latchy element that was designed for the keyboard, and it just looks great. It's perfect. It was a little bit confusing to install, but it ended up working fine. It really completes a look, and I prefer that over having the sticker on the side or a Geon keycap. So, the end product. We have the murdered out Hangul Geon Lab plateless. Korea, everything, okay? Korean switch, Korean board, Korean keycaps. Latch element isn't probably Korean, but it's branded Geon. I think the package is great. I'd be happy to own this keyboard. Honestly, I feel bad that I'm holding onto it for so long to make content, but my mod was willing to let me borrow it, so I'd be happy to own this keyboard myself, but I probably wouldn't make it be my only TKL, especially in the plateless configuration. It's kind of like a side keyboard, okay? That sounds really weird, but it's how I can make sense of it in my head. It's a beautiful piece, but my dainty wrist can't handle it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.